All right. Should people go to church-planted churches? This is the last question.
Should they go to church-planted churches?
Yeah.
All right. So all right.
If I'm getting asked to go to a church plant or I know of a new church plant and I don't go to church or whatever, should I go to that church?
Okay. So you're saying so it's a newly formed church plant.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
I think this is true for whether it's a church plant, not a church plant. I think the answer really is dependent upon like where your family is or where that individual is and in their particular season of life.
Okay.
Because here's what I mean by that. Because there are individuals that absolutely should go to church plants. Like in other words, church plants are not inherently wrong. Okay. And so if an individual is asked to go to this church plant, check it out. Yeah, do that. I mean, when there was a church that I knew that planted a couple of years ago, and I actually was encouraging individuals to go check out that church plant when they maybe had like 40 to 60 people. And I was like, no, go to that church because I know that pastor, and that pastor is going to be freaking awesome. Like and I may even think, man, this church, I know the pastor's vision for the church. I know the church, the way their methodology is, a philosophy, like they're going to fit you so well. Go to that church. There are others that I know that just have they've had a lot of instability in their life, and it's just been kind of chaotic recently for them. A brand new church plant may not be the best if that's the case. Like if you're looking for stability, longevity, because church plants can be volatile in the sense of not all of them work out. Number one, and even when they do work out, number two, a lot of times they're dependent on those early families being there to really be involved and be part of.
What's the success rate? Is there a number?
It used to. All right, it actually used to be pretty bad. Like the rumor was always that 9 out of 10 churches will not last.
Okay.
Like it was like pretty much like a 90% fail rate.
9 out of 10 new churches
will not last. Now that number has proven to be not true. In other words, it became like this buzz stat, that was kind of tossed around, and everybody was using it. Oh man, 90% of churches, and I think that was probably being pitched by those that didn't want to see new churches started,
Okay.
And so they would say, no, we don't need to do church plants. They don't work out. Okay. And so I think that kind of was started by that. And for whatever reason caught on. And that was the stat. I don't actually know what the stat is. I would probably venture to say it's probably closer to 50% would be my guess.
Okay.
Work and 50% don't. I know that's probably a very generic number. But just like when I think about churches that I know planted and started and how did they work out.
Are you counting home churches?
Ooh, no, that's a good question.
Because then it's 90.
Yeah, I'm actually not thinking about house churches because in our particular area, house churches usually start because there's a lot of people that just get disgruntled, get together, have a house church. And yeah, when you get a bunch of disgruntled people together in a house church,
yep,
they're going to become disgruntled again, and it's not going to last.
Yeah.
But I want to be very clear. I actually really believe in healthy house churches. Like, in other words, planting a church intentionally as a house church. We've talked about this before. I'm actually very much for that. I really think they can work and be beneficial. So I'm really for those churches.
Okay. So 50%.
But I think I would say it's probably around 50% because, again, there's just the dynamics and those kind of things and of how long it takes a church to get going. And I would say that churches, and I'm really trying to rack my brain because I did read a stat. So I cannot remember. It's been too many years since I read the book. But anyway, there was a stat that says that when churches are planted by denominations or organizations, their lifespan is much longer than just a church that just kind of plants out of nothing.
Okay. So you should go to a church and then get planted.
Yeah, or go to a church planting agency or organization.
Okay.
Like those exist. And yeah, and so I think
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, those exist.
Should have asked that question earlier.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's church planting agencies, there's church planting organizations.
I had no idea.
there's a big movement right now called micro churches. And so you can actually, there's a network of you can get connected into
very small steepled churches.
And so the micro churches basically are churches that are planting as house churches, or they're planting and they're meeting in, maybe they'll meet in a business that's closed on a Sunday, to use that space. But it's a small group of people, it's a smaller group of people with no intentionality to become real large or big. And so that's actually a growing, so the house church movement, micro church movement is actually really growing in the United States. And so I think check those things out. Check out, church planting organizations. One of the things I probably should have come prepped with is just, some names of these groups that you could be recommended and stuff, or you can at least check out. But anyway, those groups do exist. And and so I think that's the healthier way to do it.
Send them to Courtney and she can put them in the description or whatever.
We'll do it. As opposed to just starting out with really not any knowledge of what you're doing. Okay. Those are the churches that do not tend to last. If you've not gone through the proper training, not gone through the proper organizational, components I say organizational, like how to get a core team, how to cast a vision, how to make sure that you're getting the right people that are aligned with your vision. I had a pastor tell me one time when I was planning a church, this was his advice to me. He said he was a church planter himself. And so he told me, he said, Joseph, there's picture, 4 people in a canoe. And I was like, all right, we're in a canoe.
It's a big canoe.
Yeah. And so 4 people in a canoe. And he said there's one person in the back and they're pushing against the way you're going, right? And there's another person on the side and they're not doing anything. They're just seated there. And he said then you're up front, you're the pastor, you're leading, you're casting the vision. And he said, and then you got the other person that's right there next to you, they're beside you, and they're, and they're rowing seemingly with you, but they're a little off. They're rowing, you're looking at going toward, that particular area right there, and they're looking at going to a space just a little bit off of that. He's like, who's the most dangerous person in that boat to you?
The one doing nothing?
Nope. He said it's not the one in the back because you can see what they're doing. They're pushing against you.
Okay.
It's not the one doing nothing. I mean, they're not adding, but they're not necessarily taking away. They're just there. He said the most dangerous person is the person right up there beside you that is rowing a different way. I mean, granted, it's close, but we're veering off from each other. And over time, what he was saying was over time, you're going to veer more and more away from each other, okay, from where you're wanting to go. And that person is leading. So that person's in leadership up there with you. And so some people are going to follow that person. And if they're going a different way than you, that is the most dangerous person to you in a new church plant. And he's 100% right. Because you want to have people that are in leadership with you, that are aligned with you, going the same direction. Not that we're in uniformity, but that we are in unity over this is our vision, this is our philosophy, this is our overall, doctrinal beliefs. We're going this way and we're going together. That's what made our church plant, when I first planted a church at the age of 25, that's what actually made us successful. We were all going, our leadership group was just all rowing together. We got together every month for a leadership meeting and it was awesome. It wasn't you hear people talk about getting together for the board meetings or elder meetings, and they're almost dreading it. And for me, it was one of my favorite nights of the month, every month, was getting together with these guys. Because we were all going the same direction.
Board meeting month.
We were going the same direction. So when our leadership group got together every month, it was awesome. We were studying together. We were discussing the flock together. We were discussing our vision together, what was going on in the church together. And it was just great. It was life-giving. But when it's not that way, you got the competing values and competing vision and even competing, doctrines that are distinctives for you. That's when discord can happen. So, yeah.
So go to a church plant.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is, church planters need to be aware of that. But if you're just starting a church plant, and you don't have that kind of information given to you by people who are training you and teaching you, you're just like starting it out of nothing. That to me is where you can get in trouble, because you can put the wrong people in the boat with you, if you makes sense. You know, like if that person's going to go against you, don't make him part of leadership. Put him where you can see him. You know, if you were,
cut the boat in half.
Just cut it off. So anyway, I am a fan of church plants, but I do think all of those dynamics matter. But to be honest with you, I've also seen church plants, where they had the funding, where they had the organization, where they had the training, and it didn't work either. You know? And so sometimes they just don't work for whatever reason.
So 50-50 chance.
50-50 chance.
That the church plant I go to is going to work.
Yeah.
And I should go try it out.
Yeah. And I do think, again, if it is started by a denomination or by another church, or the pastor went through training, you know, I do think it's got a much higher level to succeed, and you should feel comfortable with that.